Hello, I'm Jay Beershank. This is my YouTube channel. Thanks for joining me out here in the woods. Did a little trailblazing and found a nice spot. And I'm going to do a book review for The Gambler by Fyodor Dostoevsky. Great book. This is one of Dostoevsky's shortest novels. It's about 145 pages. And what intrigues me most about this novel is actually the backstory behind it. Dostoevsky himself was a gambler. And he actually wrote this book to pay off a debt that, if was not paid off, would give someone the rights to his works for the next 5 years. And what that would mean, this was written before, I believe, he went to, I think it was Siberia, when he worked in a camp, which when he came back from that camp, he wrote his 4, I think, most famous novels, The Karamazov Brothers, The Idiot, Notes from the Underground, I believe, and maybe Crime and Punishment as well. Either way, so that person would have really made out well with that bet. So it's good that he wrote this so quickly and got it done. But he actually wrote this book in, I think, around 30 days, which this is one of his books that I've heard the most disappointment for. When you talk about it with other people, or you hear about The Gambler, you usually hear like, oh, Dostoevsky, he fell short with that one. But in my opinion, he is one of the greatest writers of all time. That may sound cliche, but I thought so too before I read any of his writing. But one man's trash is another man's gold, if I may be so bold to say so. Anyway, this book is really, really fun because it takes you into the mind of someone who is in a complete golden hell. And we're all in a golden hell in some way, whatever, some kind of psychosis. But the gambler in this book truly is. And the account is through his journal. It's journal entries from the gambler. It's not Dostoevsky himself, but you can tell that Dostoevsky had an easy time writing this book, because it sounds like he's not trying to hide his voice, which is probably unintentional, because he was just writing it quickly, and he wrote The Gambler because he could relate and things like that. But you get a very obvious, direct influence from Dostoevsky. It's very interesting, the golden hell part, because the gambler knows that he is he's living a life that is affecting the others around him and affecting himself in not the best way. And Dostoevsky uses the word base in his books a lot. The word base I interpret as like unrefined character, like acting with unrefined character, bestiality, a beast of a man, or impulse, acting on impulse. And the gambler in this book, he's impulsive. He just makes money and he sends it away, makes money, sends it away, the take and the pull. He has no care for what he's gonna eat that night, where he's gonna stay. It's just all in the thrill of the game and the thrill of that life-changing 1 second, one roll change your life. And it's, it's fun to go into that with him, because me personally, I haven't found myself in that golden hell in my life. And so it's fun to vicariously walk through hell with him. Walk through hell, it's funny. That'll bring us to theology. Dostoevsky has been coined a Christian writer. Sure, I'm not going to talk too much on that, but I would say that this book didn't have too much of a theological, if that's a word, undertone. It seemed like it was just a quick novel. Now maybe you could say that the gambler is carrying his cross through his golden hell by living in his golden hell and embracing it so much, because he's aware of his golden hell by, he's definitely aware of it. But that's another story. Again, I did a review for the Karamazov Brothers before, and I talked about Dostoevsky's character development. In this book, since it's such a short book, the characters are developed quickly and precise, but they're still so much fun. He didn't necessarily mask his prejudices very well. Like in his other books, he's much better at speaking in tongues, if you will, like kind of like making metaphorical comments and things like that to allude to prejudices he might have. In this, like, he straight up slanders people, like the French. He goes in on this French guy and just kind of like, shows his opinion of the French very clearly. But anyway, like, I'm not saying anything about French people. I mean, they're whatever, I don't know. But it's fun to read because the characters are developed not, I wouldn't say as well, but they're still full characters in the way that, like, you immediately know where that character belongs in your head and what part of your soul that character represents. Super fun. yeah, I would take a look at it if you just want a quick novel. If you want an introduction to Dostoevsky's work, I mean, it's not, you know, it's not going to, it might not blow your mind if you've read a lot of books, but you'll at least be interested to hear more of his voice in his other works, and it'll lead you to his other works, I almost guarantee you, because he's a genius. He's a genius. He has the gambler in this book has a relationship with a woman, and it's one of the most fun relationships to read about ever. The woman represents a venomous side of the female energy, kind of like Grushenka, if you're familiar with the Karamazov brothers. Either way though, his relationship with her and throughout the whole book is really fun and interesting to read about, to reflect upon, just those relationships that may actually exist in reality and do exist in reality between men and women, and it's really fun that way. And if anything, if you think that this book is complete waste of a read, skip to page 140 and read about his trip to Paris with the woman that I'm talking about. That 10 pages or so, it blew my mind. I was like, how did he just take me on such a ride that was so funny and so entertaining in these past 10 pages? It's the best piece of this book, in my opinion, by a million. His trip to Paris. Funny, interesting, and like, I almost wish that this whole book was just about his trip to Paris. If he was gonna write a book in the same way he wrote those 10 pages, I'd read 1,000 pages of that. It was just, I was on my ass laughing, seriously. Like, I was just like, wow. Because he just makes complete fun of himself and the whole situation, and you don't realize it until like halfway in. He's actually like, yeah, no, that really happened. And it's like, oh my god, I can't believe it. Yeah, so, you know, if you want a quick read, it's entertaining, I would check it out. Thanks guys, if you made it through, great. If you end up reading this book because of this review, definitely let me know. Or if you end up reading that trip to Paris, let me know. Look at this Albert Einstein quote. Dostoevsky gives me more than any scientist. I think it's funny that the publishers of this particular edition chose to put that Einstein quote on his like most frowned upon book. I think that, you know, trying to grab people to it. But either way, that's a pretty profound statement, isn't it? Whether it's on this book or any of his books. Thanks guys, peace.